This may be the most critical juncture for the financial services industry as regulatory reform hits Capitol Hill hard. One lobbying group is going to bat for the banks. Joining us now, Steve Bartlett, President and CEO of the Financial Services Roundtable, a premier advocacy agency for the leaders in this industry. Mr. Bartlett, welcome to Bloomberg
Mark,
News.
Good to be here. One of these days we'll be able to take some time off and get a rest, but not this day,
well,
not this year, perhaps.
I would imagine not this year at all. Tell us about how the meeting went today.
Well, my group came to town with a sense of real disappointment that we weren't on track or aren't on track today for a bipartisan bill, but we left with a new determination to get a bipartisan bill that serves systemic risk oversight, that provides elimination too big to fail, that serves the consumers. So we're going to go back to Congress and say, guys, you're on a track with bipartisanship. Let's get back onto a bipartisan bill and let's get it done, but get it done right. So we don't want it done wrong. We do want it done right.
When you say get it done right, what do you want to see in this legislation?
Well, first of all, make it a bipartisan, and that sort of guarantees that there are 1,300 pages, that every page gets talked about and thought about and all things considered.
Is that realistic to happen in this climate? Because it's for lack of a better term, it's very nasty in Washington right now. It is very partisan. How do you reach across the aisle to get something done, as most have said, for the good of the American people? They want transparency.
Sure. Well, that would make it transparent. So Bob Corker and Chris Dodd were within a day of having a bill. Bob Corker said they were on the 5-yard line. And then they stopped. So there was something that apparently intervened where the other side just couldn't quite do it. So yes, it is realistic, but it's also the only way that you can get omnibus comprehensive legislation that will serve the American people as a whole going forward.
Now, we should mention, of course, that you are lobbying for the banking industry, but in this climate, how's that working for you?
Well, we accept our responsibility for the things that went wrong, that we did. We also note, for the record, that there's a lot of responsibility to go around, whether it's a regulatory system or Congress or the people that borrowed money they couldn't pay back. But we also have responsibility for the things that we did that didn't do right. But more importantly, we're taking responsibility for getting it right going into the future.
What due diligence don't you believe was done?
Oh, mortgages that were based on something other than the ability to repay. Just sort of start with that.
Basically, walk and chew gum and you can get a mortgage.
Right. So we lent too many mortgages that were the wrong mortgages, but borrowers borrowed them, and regulators allowed them, and the market funded them. So pox on all of our houses, but start with us. That is our responsibility to make good loans. We're determined to make good loans going forward. More importantly, we're determined to accept the responsibility to make the loans that will fund this economy and make sure they're good loans that can be repaid and therefore are sustainable. So we're taking that responsibility.
Sir, what type of oversight is needed?
We think there ought to be.
Remember, Senator Dodd said there was a watchdog, but it didn't bark.
That's right, because the watchdog had no teeth and also didn't have a sense of systemic about it. So systemic is one of the keys, so you need to have systemic oversight. You also need to have a uniform set of rules. We've said that from the beginning. Consumers ought to be protected from Boise to Birmingham, from New Jersey to New Mexico, so you can count on a set of standards. So that's what we're advocating, and we're trying to get Congress to go along with.
Well, how receptive is Congress?
Well, they say the right words, but then, at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, the bipartisan bill that seemed to agree to uniform national standards gets pulled off the table, and you end up with chaos again.
How frustrating is that for you? Do they listen to what you're saying? Do they hear what you and your colleagues are telling them?
These are well-meaning people, but I think there came a time when Senator Corker and Senator Dodd had of the basis of an agreement, 95%, that would have served well. And then Senator Dodd had to pull off. Now that's regrettable, but we're hoping he'll pull back in.
Mr. Bartlett, I wish we had more time, but we got to go. Steve Bartlett, President and CEO, Financial Services Roundtable, coming right from the meeting and joining us here on Bloomberg. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you very much.